Hello, everybody. My name's Raymond, and I'm here to talk about event Wi-Fi and what we've done at the Dutch Formula One Grand Prix. Now, I could probably talk for hours, so you're getting the high level because you guys voted, and you gave me 10 minutes. So I did 10 minutes in Prague. I'm doing 10 minutes here, and probably do another 10 minutes, and so eventually I should be able to get everything across. So let's see. So I gave you some numbers for an event. So when you look at the Grand Prix weekend, what's happening there, there's 10 F1 teams. And maybe fun fact, or people that maybe some of you don't know, but a F1 team can only employ a maximum of 80 people. So there's 800 staff there for the F1 teams. But there's also the F2 teams, the F3 teams, and my favorite, the Porsche Cup. But there's also 350 people of press in there, and well, everything needs to be organized and done, and so people do ticketing and do merchandise and food and beverage and that kind of thing. So there's lots of stuff, and there's 110,000 visitors per day. So yesterday we had a talk from Extreme about event or stadium Wi-Fi, doing hundreds of thousands of people. That's what we do as well. But 2 weeks before, there wasn't anything there yet. So it's a bit different. We look at a track like this, and this is in the Netherlands, Zandvoort, where the Dutch Grand Prix is. And as you can see, there aren't any big stands. You can see a little white block in the middle. That's the permanent stand there is. And we do this. So lots of temporary seating, structures being put up for VIPs, for promotion. There's an entire commercial area in the bottom left, just for food and beverage, but also promotional activities and that kind of thing. The F1 is kind of a festival. So there's a big Ferris wheel and all kinds of things that you can do. And they all have different wireless requirements. So we were asked, can you do Wi-Fi there in these areas? So the yellow you see are VIP areas. The blue is all food and beverage. And the greens are ticketing. Ticketing for coming into the venue. And so that's where we needed to do Wi-Fi 4. So a few things that we've done. What we used is MeteorNet. And MeteorNet is what you could describe as a redundant, self-healing, fiber-based network, which is mainly used for audio and video. So broadcasters use this a lot. But we can also run data over it. And so for this event, we installed 50 kilometers. That's 30 miles in freedom units, I was told. We also deployed 8 FortiGate switches, FortiGate firewalls, sorry, because we had 44 uplinks coming in, and every part was segmented. So press had a little bit, organization had a little bit, and so everything had dedicated links. We did over 100 switches, 128 Aruba APs, which were connected to 2 controllers in high availability. And MeteorNet, when you look at MeteorNet and connect everything up, it looks kind of like this, where we can monitor and control the links. Now, I was talking about 110,000 people coming in. And I showed you we were using 128 Aruba APs. Well, we're that good. Well, sadly no, but we didn't do Wi-Fi for visitors. So we care about the visitors because they pay the bills, but we didn't do Wi-Fi for the visitors. It's temporary structure. The cellular providers, they deploy temporary masts, temporary cell towers for extra coverage, and so public just use cellular. So we had to do a design in a crowded RF environment, not for coverage, not for capacity, but for coverage. Except one little area, which was the press area. But what we did do is we connected 3,000 payment terminals. And some of them were wired, if we were lucky. Some of them were wireless. And of course, those were wireless because it's a hospitality environment. They have to be bulletproof. They were stuck in metal cases, which is really good for Wi-Fi. So we had to make it work, and we did. And so that is the mission-critical thing there. If people can't pay their drinks, they won't get their drinks. If they don't get their drinks, queues will go up, people go angry, and so the entire event will turn into a big failure. So most critical was payment. So what we had to take into account when deploying this was it's a very full spectrum. Like, you can't think how full it is. And not just Wi-Fi, other things as well. And so the Dutch equivalent to the FCC were on site, had masts set up, and if you would break rules, they would triangulate you in seconds and would disconnect you. But not just Wi-Fi, we had mobile communications in there. And as Jim Palmer was saying, well, it doesn't matter if it's the same frequency or not. If it's loud enough, it'll still interfere. So all that thing we had to take into account. Add on that the FIA rules. They said, well, we'd like to reserve these channels. And so you can't use these channels. So what did we do? The NURB knobs, so as Jim calls them. What do we do? Well, we said 20 megahertz channels only. Makes sense, right? High density environment, you don't want to go very wide. We increased the minimum data rates, 24 and up. And what is a key thing you do in large public deployments, you turn off your AP's ability to react to wildcard probe responses, probe requests. You don't want your APs to generate probe responses to everyone asking their home SSID. That consumes a lot of airtime. So actually the FIA channels, and then try to use as many channels as we possibly could. But it's an event, and near the coast, there's a radar tower right on the corner of the track, which thankfully they changed the sweep area to be just towards the sea and not inland, which helped. But just to be sure, what we did is for the entrances where ticket scanners were scanning tickets, we said, well, let's put those on fixed non-DFS channels and then let RM do its magic and do the other channels, well, automatically. And of course, we limited RM in transmit power and set the correct channels to choose. And that in the end basically gave us a good event. So come race day, as typical with an event, you're really busy at the start, but come race day, you sit in your office, you monitor the network, you get to watch the race up close, and in this case, Max won, so we enjoyed the results. Thank you.